Hello, my friends. This is Andy Falco Jimenez coming to you live from Orange County, California. And I'm here with the California Parent Alliance podcast. I will remind you of an event we have going on this evening at in Simi Valley. Sorry, I almost forgot where we were going to have it. But we're going to have some great speakers, some school board candidates in that area in Ventura and Simi Valley. So I'll let you know a little bit more about that towards the end. But right now, I have a guest with me, as you could probably tell. It's Madison Klovstad Miner. Yes, I did it.
That's me. You did it.
And you are running for school board in the Orange Unified School District.
This is right.
And I'm so happy to have you with me. Wow. I just really am looking forward to hearing what it is that you're going to bring to the school board, because we just need some really strong parents in the school board that care about kids. So I think the most important thing is that we need to know is about you and your life, your history, and what brings you to this point where you're running for the school board.
Awesome. Sounds good.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Let's hear it.
Okay, well, my name is Madison, as Andy just said, and I am running for Orange Unified School District Board of Education. That includes Villa Park, Orange, Anaheim Hills, parts of Santa Ana, and a little bit of Garden Grove. So, yeah, I have 4 kids. I'm a mom. My oldest is 8. My youngest is 3. So I'm mostly at home with the 3-year-old. But on the side, I am teaching just as needed right now until I can get all my kids in school. And then I will probably pursue going back and being in there a little bit more full time.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
So what do you think, as opposed to any of the other candidates or the incumbent that possibly you're running against, what is it that you're going to bring to the school board that they're not going to bring?
Got it. Yes. So I have, like I said, I have 4 kids. They currently are in 3rd, 1st, and kindergarten grades. My youngest is at home with me, but all 3 of them are just thriving at their school that they're at. But I have nieces and nephews. I have friends' kids that all are in Orange Unified School District. They're all school age. They're young, and I feel like I can represent them. I can represent the families of that have children in the school district, and I look forward to doing that. I think I bring a lot of energy. In fact, this morning I was out walking and knocking on doors before I came here for about 3 hours. So I just, I'm very passionate about kids learning proper literacy and solid math. I think there needs to be a lot of changes when it comes to how kids are learning these days. I think it's not sticking. I don't think we're doing it exactly the way that it needs to be done. And I would love to bring in some changes to the curriculum in hopes that it would help kids, especially the kids that are maybe a little bit behind with their literacy scores. I'd love to help them out with something that maybe works a little bit more for their learning styles.
Yes. So, literacy and other issues that they're falling short on, especially in California and in the United States, we're something like 24th or 25th in the world as far as education, which is so crazy considering you're the United States of America. And illiteracy is one of the leading reasons why boys that grow up to be men, end up in prison. And addicted to narcotics and those kinds of things, and are jobless because they just don't have the skills to do it. I don't see, and I'm going to be speaking from the Placentia Yorba Linda Unified School District, because I know, I wouldn't say I know it 100%, but I'm learning so much over the last 2 years. Something I never thought I would do. But we have so many children that are under their 50 percentile in literacy and math and what have you. But we don't see in many of the school board meetings that they're talking about education. They're talking about a lot of other nonsense that doesn't have anything. And we are fighting against the nonsense so that we can at some point get to education. Do you find the same thing happening in the school district there in Orange?
Yeah, I was encouraged by a friend back in 2016. I was pregnant with my 3rd, carrying a toddler. Not even a toddler, he was tiny, carrying a baby on my hip with a toddler, holding his hand, walked into my first board meeting. And I was shocked at the things they were talking about that we were going to be putting into books for kids starting in kindergarten.
Yep.
And so I kept going to board meetings, probably more than I can even count at this point. And, you know, I wasn't super active, super vocal, but I would go to them and be informed and go down to the district and read the books. And I'd have to bring my phone for some of the things, the terminology. I didn't even know what they were. And so I'd look them up, and yeah, just shocking at what they were focusing on, when exactly what you were just saying. You know, we talk about how we are blue ribbon districts and we're doing great in our overall scores, but what about the kids that aren't? I think that that's kind of a misconception, and that's kind of deceiving, to be honest. When you talk about a school district and you say it's blue ribbon, it's award winner, well, that's great. But have you looked at the schools? Specifically, I know in Orange Unified, there's a lot of Title I schools, mostly English language learners, and they're failing. They're dropping so low right now with their scores. I think some are below 40th percentile, 30th percentile, up until 6th grade.
Yep.
So that means that they just got kindergarten, 1st grade, all the way up through 5th grade, 6th grade, and they're still scoring that low on their state tests.
Yep.
Which means they go to high school, or junior high school rather, and then high school completely unprepared for the real world, but they're going to get released because we don't leave children behind in California. And I feel like there's got to be something better. And so that's why, that's another thing I'm really big on, is we need to get back to proper literacy.
Yep.
Teaching kids how to read correctly at a young age. Even if they're English language learners, there are statistics that show there is certain curriculum that works with English language learners that they're not going to learn by just doing sight words. It's not a one size fits all box.
I'm glad you said that, because the way that they're teaching kids to read right now is simply not working.
It's not.
And even up into the high school, just kind of to go a little bit further with your point, is that when they do get to high school, because I have 2 in high school now. I have 2 in elementary school, 1 in junior high, and 2 in high school. Yeah. And my son, one of his most difficult math, it's in the genes, because mine was too. And early on, he was telling me the teacher isn't doing much teaching. She hands out the papers, the lesson for the day, and then they're expected to just somehow learn it. Right. He goes, I don't know, because she doesn't teach. Right. And everybody in the class failed the first test. And instead of going back and saying, okay, where is it that I failed as a teacher? Or where is it that maybe I just did not give them what it is they needed? What she did is she lowered the grading standard, and she said, well, I'm lowering the curve so now that everybody could pass. So this is just it's lunacy. There's no desire to bring up the education. I want all my kids to be challenged. Absolutely. I don't want them to be given anything. And they know that, and they know that in this house. You walk through the house, and, I wouldn't, I have 6 kids. Yeah.
You win.
But we don't allow them to live in a lower standard. Sure. We bring all the standards up. I want you to be better than mediocre. Yeah. And so it's just shocking. Really quick, I'm so sorry. I went on a little rampage there. But I want to say hi to Dan, who's watching. He says, good conversation. Thank you. And yes, Madison, you have my support. Oh, I'm sorry. He says, you have my support. Best of success to you.
Thank you, Mr. Awesome. Alvarez. Thank you.
That is awesome. Anybody else that's watching, we see other people are watching. Just comment if you have any questions for Madison, whether it's during the live broadcast or when you're watching the replay. Please put in the comments. Madison or I will see it, and then we'll try to get back to you in a comment within the program that you are watching this. We're broadcasting live on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, and Rumble right now. So if you're on any of those platforms, feel free to comment. Oh, thank you. And it's going out to a podcast, so they can hear it on Spotify, awesome. iHeartRadio. Okay, back to the show. Back to the questioning. I'm just kind of skipping ahead, but I know you're an athlete.
Yes.
You played soccer?
I did. Yep.
In college?
And beyond. Yes.
And beyond. Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I got to play down in Brazil professionally for a little bit.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I got to sit and touch Pele's locker. It's pretty cool.
Oh, that's awesome. I would even like that. And I'm not a huge soccer fan, but Pele is one of the people that it's got Gretzky.
You know his name.
Yeah,
right?
If you don't play hockey, you know Gretzky.
You do.
He's the Gretzky of soccer.
Yes, absolutely.
Gretzky's the Pele of hockey.
Yes.
Whatever. Okay.
Yes.
So just in the sense of athletics,
Yes.
one of the things I could be homeschooling my kids, but I'm not, because I have so many, and it would be very difficult.
Yes.
And because I also have to work.
Yes.
But one of the reasons why I truly, even though I knew there are some issues that I don't like that's happening in public schools, the one thing that I did not want them to miss out on is the ability to play sports in a high school environment, even a junior high environment, where they learn to play sports with other kids of ethnic backgrounds, of other religions, of, you know, whether they're atheists to whatever other religion you can be out there, that they can live together, work together, and play together, be in a team together, and support one another and love on one another. And even when there's failure, to lift somebody up. And I think that's valuable in sports, that it really has to be a part of school. That's my belief. And I see that so many schools, especially and here in Placentia, Oakland, I'm sure it's the same in Orange, is that it's financially so difficult because they're paying. For our cheerleader that we have in high school, it's upwards of close to $10,000 for us, for her to compete at the level that this school wants her to compete. My son plays lacrosse, and we're already up to like $2,000, and that's not including the the fee for the buses. Like, we have to pay for the bus. The parents do. We have to pay for everything. Is this something that you think Orange is going through too when it comes to the high schools? I know your kids are not there yet, but
they're a little smaller.
I think that the budgeting, I know that our budget at Placentia Linda is $300 million annually. And we don't know where all that money's going. And so that's a very loaded question.
That is a very
do you think
question.
do you think sports would be a part of it? And then maybe the second question is that, are you as concerned about what they're doing with their money as we are here in Placentia Linda?
Absolutely. I think being transparent with where spending is going is 100% the taxpayer's right to be informed and to know exactly where their money's going. I went to Modena High School in Orange and played sometimes 3 sports. It depended on the year, to be honest. And to be completely frank, my parents probably just footed the bill, and I don't know exactly what it is that they paid, but I played competitive sports as well, soccer specifically. And goodness, I remember thousands of dollars that they dumped into that, not including travel. And, we would travel to North Carolina, Texas, all over the states, Northern California, just to compete. High school sports have turned a new leaf in the last, I'd say, 15 years. I've been out of high school for a while, but they've turned over new leaves. And I think that's crazy how much money that you're spending for your high school sports when it's not even a competitive. I mean, it's competitive in the sense that it's, they're competing against others, but it's not like you're signing up for a club team. No, this is a high school. So I would love to look into that for Orange Unified, but, I know there's a lot of money getting paid right now to the upper, I don't know exactly, administration in our school district. I'd be curious to know if that was the same for Placentia Yorba Linda, because, that doesn't seem right that families should be paying that much money for a public sport, a public high school, and that's their sport at their school. One of the cool things is one of our candidates, Todd Frazier, he's a CPA. Okay. And I'm so looking forward to him getting elected, because if anybody could figure out what's going on with the money here, I'm hoping that it's him. So we, in addition to the sports issue, how do you feel about men or boys competing with girls in girls sports? Is that something you think should be allowed? No. No, I played, and I don't say this to brag, I'm so grateful for my experiences in soccer and how far I went. I mean, not many people get to go to a different country and play a professional sport. It was amazing. I was a top athlete in my sport. There's no way that I could compete against someone that's maybe a lower tier male playing for a Division III college. If I went up against him, maybe I'd get lucky here and there. I don't even like the word luck, but maybe I'd get around him and be able to try and score a goal here and there. But quite honestly, to compete against a man, and a man that's really good, but maybe identifies as a woman, that's not right. They're built differently. I'm not a scientist. I'm not a biologist, but my husband, like, he's faster than me. We've sprinted because he challenged me. and he beat me in a race. And I'm sitting there going, oh my goodness.
You trained all your life.
I've trained all my life, and I can't beat my husband, who's an aerospace engineer. No offense, honey. In a foot race. And so just seeing that difference.
Can you imagine a man,
right.
just go for and come in for the tackle to get the ball from you, or just shoulder you off the ball? It's hugely different.
It's vastly different. Physically, muscle mass, hamstrings, bone density, everything is different. It is, if that's what they want to do, fine. But no, I don't think you should be able to compete against women in a woman's sport.
Well, one of the reasons I brought it up where I did is that we have what's called the teachers unions. Everybody knows about the teachers unions. We've been hearing about them all through COVID because they're the ones who are primarily responsible for keeping schools closed and making sure that our kids are masked and pushing vaccine mandates. But one of the things that the NEA, the National Educator Association, and the California Teachers Association, in association with the smaller unions that are that represent our school districts, have really been pushing that boys and men. And the reason I say men is because there are kids that are 18 that are still in high school. And so that's why it still could be men that are competing at girls. But it is the unions that are pushing it. And the unions have a huge amount of pull when it comes to financial contributions and donations that they're making to their candidates that also want men to compete. They're pushing horrific sex education, which we'll get to in a minute. But it's so hard to compete, not against men in sports, but against the school unions, as the teachers unions.
Yeah.
This is one of the reasons why we hope that people like you will get onto the board, is because their candidates are just being fully funded. Are you seeing that the candidates that you're up against, or that are up for election this round, are they being supported by the teachers union?
Yeah. It's public knowledge, but there's videos where they're saying, the California Teachers Association is funding they funded our last campaign, and they're going to fund us again. And it's crazy to me because, it's clear, the line is clear where CTA stands. And when it comes to pushing boys into girls' sports, men into women's sports, it's just, it doesn't make sense to me. It's not equal. And I'm curious where the women's rights activists went, because they fought so hard and wanted equal pay for their sports, and in soccer specifically. Am I allowed to say names?
Sure.
Okay. In soccer specifically, like, you look at Megan Rapinoe and Alex Morgan, they fought so hard for equal pay for women in sports, and now they're silent.
Right.
Because why? I don't understand it. You fought so hard for equal pay, but now some man can come and say, I'm a woman, because he was a lower class soccer player for men.
Right.
So, okay, maybe that wasn't working. So now he's going to say he's a woman, compete in that sport, get equal pay, because you just fought for equal pay. And you're going to lose your spot because he's going to be fitter, faster, stronger than you are. It doesn't make, sorry, I kind of went on a tangent.
That's okay.
But yes, no, they have very much so said they are funded by CTA. And if they don't know what CTA stands for, they probably should have done their homework. Yeah. But if they do know what CTA stands for and they're still taking funds from them, that's on them.
One of the things we're noticing here is that the candidates on the opposing side, we would just call it the more liberal side, because it's a nonpartisan position supposedly, but it's there's nothing more clear than the difference between the different candidates. But they are able to not only get money from a huge cabal, is what I'm calling it, of the teachers unions, and they are able to utilize their mailers, or their mailing information to all the teachers. And it's not just teachers that are that are teachers within that school district, but it's throughout the state of California. These are our candidates that we're supporting.
Yes.
And the reason that's just so horrific is that maybe somebody lives in Torrance, for instance, as a teacher and gets one of these mailers. She'll know some people that live in the district. So it's just so there's just so many people that they're able to touch and reach with a mailer that it's just unfair. That are on the educational side of things. Right. Where there's no way you could get a hold of that list of teachers and mail it to them and say, this is why you should vote for me, right?
I would love it. If you have it, please send it my way.
But what is the alternative? I mean, what do you have to do in order to reach people that are in the school district?
I've walked, I think my friend was asking me how many miles. I've walked 47 miles in the last 2 weeks, knocking on doors, just telling people, and I don't care what your political background is, I'm knocking on every door because, this is the difference right now between protecting kids and not.
Right.
At this point. No, I don't have access to the mailers. I would love it. I was contacted by a couple teachers, in fact, many teachers that have reached out to me via email or social media and have said, hey, did you by chance get interviewed by the Orange Unified Educators Association, the Orange Unified CTA, basically? And I said, no, why? And their response was, well, when I reached out to my union, which is that union, to ask them why they were endorsing these 4 candidates, their response was they interviewed all the candidates, and these are the ones that they feel are aligned with all the teachers' goals for Orange Unified School District. And, that's so shameful. I mean, give me a chance, interview me, go for it. Talk to me. The only time I ever had an interaction was at a school board meeting where I was asked to come by parents of Villa Park High School to represent them, to support them for a separate issue for a theater arts program. And so I came and I helped take a photo for their group because there was about 60 of them there. Took a photo and handed her back her phone, and this union rep stormed over and cut me off and said, did you get parents' permission for the photo that you're going to post on your political website? And I looked at her, I was confused. Yeah. And I'm like, no, this is not my phone. That wasn't my photo. And I'm not posting it on my website. And, and her body, she physically put herself between myself and this mom who asked me to come out and, had a conversation with this mom who was my daughter's swim teacher. Oh. So she knew me personally. Right. We spent many hours together. Anyway, all that is to say, she was very aggressive with me. She never interviewed me. She simply made it very clear that she wasn't a fan of mine. Right. And that's okay, but give me an interview. Talk to me. I'm a mom. I'm an adult. I'm a mom. Yep. And my goal is not to come out and make enemies. My goal is to come out and protect kids. That's all I'm here for. Yeah, they do whatever they can to either intimidate you or to attack you and make claims that are just simply untrue. Yes. I mean, you should see some of the things people write about me, and I'll actually show you one in 1 minute. But the more that you tell the truth, the more that they attack you, and the more they try to intimidate you. Yeah. It is a really odd way of living. Yes. I just don't understand it. Real quick, I want to get to Missy Yarborough says she supports you 100%. You have her vote. Dan asks a question. I'm not sure if we covered or not, but it says, if elected, would you fight for the district to provide parity funding for all female and student sports in schools under the Title IV that would help all school sports programs? Yeah, Title IX. Oh, sorry. Title IX. Okay. I'm tired too. I went to public school. So me too, but I was under Title IX in college, so I knew that. I could barely read. We had to actually learn about that in college. No, it's okay. I've said Title IX probably 30 times. That's what I'm here for. That's a great question, Mr. Alvarez. Yeah, absolutely. I would absolutely fight for funding for females and student sports. I mean, yes, absolutely. I think with my college, the way it worked at my college, our soccer team made our own money. We had about 8,000 people that watched each game. We were very blessed. But we had a football team, still have a football team, that made a lot of money. And when we first started out, they helped fund, parts of our soccer program, as well as our baseball and basketball teams. And so grateful for them, being generous with a lot. They have made so much money.
Mm-hmm.
And thankfully, like I said, our soccer team now funds itself with generous donors. But I would absolutely support parity funding for females in student sports.
One of the things I brought up recently is that, we're very blessed to live where we live, and it's because of hard work.
Mm.
My wife and I have worked hard all of our lives since I was like 9.
Yeah.
I know that I've been working.
You sound like me.
And so we're very fortunate. God gave us a bunch of opportunities that we were able to take advantage of. But I know from being a police officer in Anaheim and many of the areas that I've had to patrol and go into, including parts of Fullerton, and of course Anaheim is where I patrolled, is that there's areas in our district that aren't as lucky to have the financial support from maybe a job that I had.
Yeah.
And they're struggling, and they live in multi-family homes. Some of these apartments that are in Fullerton that are in our district, will sometimes have 4 families living in a 2-bedroom home that are and their children are going to our schools.
Yeah.
And I just worry about them mostly, that what do they get? What opportunities do they get? There's no way in the world that they could afford to play sports whether it's football, it doesn't matter what it is, polo, football. Leander Blades, who was a school board member here, she was talking about the thousands of dollars in water polo that it cost them. And I think water polo is where those little bikinis. How's it? But even that's costing thousands of dollars. And I worry so much about them. I think that is just really the tragedy of how many amazing athletes that we could have.
Absolutely.
That would also, again, get the benefits of participating in team sports and in high school. I don't know if there's a question there, but do you understand what I'm saying?
I believe it's quite rhetorical. But no, I agree. I think, going back to what I was saying about Title I schools, this is America.
Yeah.
They've got to have chances. And why can't we as board members, help find donations, volunteers, someone to help those children get into sports? Absolutely. And pay funding for, if it's water polo, for the little Speedo and the cap and goggles.
Yeah.
But, all jokes aside, that's terrible. That's very sad. We are very blessed to have the childhoods that we had, and my brother and I, and now as adults, we can pay for our kids. But I would definitely not be opposed to looking into scholarships of some sort where, money could go towards those children who don't have a chance to play sports because they genuinely don't have the money.
Right. And we know personally some children that are having difficulty being able to travel with the team.
Sure.
Because their parents can't afford it. So we got off sports for a second, and I want to get back to the teachers unions, because that is a huge fight against what it is they're doing, and including Sacramento, who's bought into the teachers unions because they too get donations and support the politicians do from the teachers unions. Are huge in regard to financial support for these candidates and these politicians. But they really seem to be focused on the sexual orientation of children and indoctrinating the children in our schools, first and foremost in those ideologies, more so than education. With sex education going down, even down as into the elementary school ages and into kindergarten. What is your position on whether that should be allowed, and what is it that you think is happening in our schools in relationship to those subject matters, LGBTQ, sex education, all that kind of stuff?
Right. I mean, I played soccer. I was around, people who were homosexual. I was around it my whole life. And I love those people. I've never been hateful. I've always been kind. They were my teammates. They were my friends. Do I find it to be too soon and inappropriate in elementary school? Yeah, I think that's way too early. And obviously there's conversations that I think families have rights to have with their children before hearing it in a school setting. I don't think that's our teachers' jobs to be teaching sexuality and teaching sexual preferences. That's weird. I mean, adults get arrested for pedophilia,
Right.
but and I'm not calling teachers pedophiles, but you're teaching sexual stuff. That's a whole new level, in my opinion, of what they should or should not be instructing our kids on.
Mm-hmm.
Especially going back to the statistics of literacy and math scores. How is that? You know, if our kids are failing in that way, but we're teaching them, you know, if they want to be a cat, they can call themselves a cat, because that's part of the gender ideology. It's the furry. I had to look it up. The furry section. But that kid can't read. You know, what are we actually focusing? What are we actually worried about in our schools? It seems like there's some alternate agenda right now, and I'm not okay with it.
No, it is an odd argument that I'm having right now on Twitter, and I do respond to some of these people. It's endless, but I always know that there's somebody else watching that needs to hear the rebuttal to somebody attacking me as a homophobic or a racist, which is constant.
Yeah.
Which they're calling Hispanic who's married to a Persian racist, which is really odd. Yeah.
I'm not even going to joke about it because someone's going to take me seriously.
Yeah, it's so crazy.
Yeah.
But just because that we don't believe that we need to go into the sexual practices of somebody who's whatever it is, even heterosexual.
Sure.
I don't need to know, or I don't need to know,
Yeah.
much less my children don't need to learn it from teachers.
Right.
I didn't know the sexual preference of any of my teachers as far as I can remember.
Yeah.
Sometimes you may make some assumptions or something like that, but they would never come out and say, you know, have you ever tried X, Y, Z? No, why would a teacher do that? But yet right now, the NEA, the National Educators Association, and the CTA, the California Teachers Association, along with the local unions, has this QR code that goes on a name tag that they wear. It's on the back. And what they're instructed from the unions, this is nationwide and statewide, is that on the back is a QR code. And if a child ever comes to them and says, you know, I'm depressed, I'm feeling like I'm not who I should be, or what have you, the teacher is encouraged to give them that QR code they can scan with their phone, and it will take them to a website that will give them instructions on whatever, how to sext, how to transition, how to do all these things. And I have videos that show all this. So if anybody's questioning whether it is that this is true or not, I'll be more than happy to send you the documentation, the QR code, everything. You can research for yourself to see these things. Whenever I'm talking to school board candidates, I want to know, and again, you don't have to be this way, but I just want to know how active do you think you will be in fighting against teachers unions having a part in this ideology and indoctrination in our schools when it comes to this subject matter?
Yeah, I mean, that's crazy. That's crazy. My kids don't have phones. I know they're young still, but I applaud my brother and his wife. They don't have phones for their kids who are a little bit older than mine, just because there's so many opportunities and chances for them to go down wrong paths. I think it's not okay for these teachers to be sending children to a website, a public website that hasn't been approved by their parents.
Right.
Instead of, obviously there might be a home life problem for that child, but there's counselors on campus. There's notifying the parents if they think that there's some sort of a, suicide potential or a depression going on. When did parents become the enemy is what I'm curious about. When did we stop notifying parents when we had concerns about our own children's mental health in schools? I don't know when that happened, but it feels like it happened very quickly in the last couple of years. Maybe COVID had something to do with it. I don't know, but just knowing that there's obviously mental health issues going on, I really feel like the parents have been put on the back burner when it comes to their rights as parents, as moms and dads, to educate and love on and instruct and teach their children. It's alarming. It's very alarming. So yeah, I would absolutely fight against teachers taking away parent rights like that.
Awesome. So do you think parents are terrorists?
I believe I've been called that. No. I mean, this is a big deal.
Yeah.
This is a big deal. If anyone thinks this isn't a big deal, all the things that our kids are being exposed to in public schools, then you are not well informed, or you're not in agreement. No, I think I'm not a terrorist.
Good. Me either.
I'm just a mad mom that wants to protect my children.
Yeah, you were saying, when did this happen? And in my research, and I've been diving in, I almost do more of this than anything else now, it seems. But it's been happening for decades. It's just parents have been not involved in the school boards. It's not that we're involved with our kids.
Right.
But when I started showing up at the school board meetings about 2 or 3 years ago, I guess it's been about 3 years now. It was me and maybe 2 other people.
Yeah.
And now we have a full house. Not every time, but almost an overflow.
It's awesome.
Because parents are starting to figure it out and see this is really crazy.
Yeah.
And they're going, when did this happen?
Yeah.
Even to this day, I walked into a football game over for El Dorado against Modena High School. And because I do this, people have been stopping me and will talk to me and said, hey, you brought this thing, what is this CRT thing? I go, wait a minute. At this point, you don't know what CRT is, and so there are still parents that are still catching up.
Yeah.
Right? They have busy lives, and I understand. And
sure.
So that's why we have to do these things. But that is the next thing that I wanted to talk to you about, is that these subject matters are just now sometimes hitting some parents for the first time. CRT, critical race theory, along with diversity, equity, and inclusion, which is DEI. They're both the same, but they'd like to use them separately. We were fortunate enough here at Placentia Yorba Linda, we were able to ban CRT. Where are you at in Orange Unified with this area of CRT and DEI?
Yeah, that's a great question. I actually, again, get multiple emails. So humbled for that, or by that, but getting multiple emails from parents that are concerned, that have kids in high school. One mom sent me, and mind you, she's Black. She has a Black child, and she sends me pictures of her 10th grader's social studies book. And there's 6 pages with broad lettering that spell out FUCK, the police. And it's shocking. It's 6 pages dedicated to the BLM movement. Now, yes, that was historical. I'm not going to disagree with that. However, if we're raising critical thinkers, if we are raising these kids to, have an opinion on something or be able to back something, why are we not giving them 6 pages dedicated to what police officers have done well, or what they do for us on a daily basis? You're basically teaching them police officer bad, don't trust them, don't respect them, they're all bad. That it's a terrible thing that happened. I don't disagree. But why are they not given the critical thinking skills, which is giving both sides of a story, for them to then form their own opinion on the situation? That's just one example of many that I've come across. It's definitely in Orange Unified School District. They kind of sneak it into social studies, so it's not like it's its own specific book, but there's pages and pages and pages dedicated to this movement. But
wait a minute, they say it's not happening.
But they say it's not happening. But it is there, and I have notes somewhere.
Sorry, keep
I'm breaking your desk. I have notes somewhere in my phone that's dead. But anyway, of article specific things that have these pages taken photos of or whatnot, and it's crazy.
Right.
And having 3 boys that happen to be white, that are going through school, learning CRT, it's looking at those boys and saying, well, shame on you for being born the color you are born.
Mm-hmm.
You are oppressing everyone else because of your color. And I have never taught my children that. I've never taught them you are white, so you are better. I've never taught them that. I've taught them kindness towards everyone, respect towards everyone, they're little, so they make mistakes, but it's not because they've been taught that.
Mhm.
And it's not because they were raised to think that they're better than other people. It's divisive. BLM CRT, it's divisive. It's not inclusive. It's not creating better citizens and better, young adults that are our next generation. It's creating conflict.
Right.
Now, I think it's important to do ethnic studies. I don't disagree. I think true history,
Mhm.
like what I learned as a little girl in Orange Unified School District, I think that's important. Slavery, obviously a bad thing. Imprisoning during World War II, anyone that was Japanese, terrible.
Mhm.
I think it should be taught. I don't want to repeat history, but teaching CRT is not the way to do it. It's not the right vehicle.
No. I don't know what's more dangerous for children growing up. My children are strong children. If somebody told them that they're racist or an oppressor, they look at you like, you're crazy.
Yeah.
Have you come to our house? It's like the United Nations at my house. But I think it's even worse for the children that are being told over and over again that they're oppressed, that they are being held back. For them, again, can just only either support their fears and then give them someone else to blame.
Right.
Where it no longer becomes about what it is that they can do and how they can achieve. It's about how they're being held back by somebody else. Mm-hmm. And I think that's extremely harmful.
Yeah.
For children.
I agree.
Sorry, I always have a lot of statements and not a lot of questions. Here we go.
That's okay. I
agree. Sorry. So when you get elected, and you are going to get elected, what do you think are going to be some of the first things that you want to address? Do you think have you thought about that yet?
All the things. Oh man, all the things. I think just, getting in there and figuring out, what curriculum can we fix? I think that's probably my first focus is going to be, because I'm a mom, and I care about my kids and I care about your kids. And I want to make sure they're all learning the way that they're going to learn best. Not all kids are the same. Not all kids learn the same. I don't think that CRT is something that we should be teaching. So I would love to look into I know it's mandatory in California. I would love to find a different ethnic studies, not CRT, ethnic studies, program book, something that they could read to get that checked off their list. I would love to find a better option for teaching math. My husband's an engineer, and when our son was in kindergarten at an OUSD school, he came home with this math, especially during COVID when we were all home. And my husband's looking at this math that he was doing, which, mind you, my son would cry every day. He was so bored with the curriculum he was learning. It wasn't stimulating. It wasn't pushing him. He knew how to read. So, he was given other things to do during class to occupy his time because he was too advanced. And so all that is to say, my husband looks at Common Core math and he's just like, this is not math. He's got 20 digits. He's got 10 fingers and 10 toes. Why can't he use those?
Right.
He's little, why? There's nothing wrong with that. And so, I would love to look into the potential of even switching that out if we're able to. I know our California state tests have Common Core in it. So, is there an option to teach a different style of math that still allows them to pass their state testing? Or maybe we even, I don't know. I would love to figure out how to switch that up in Sacramento, but I'm just a mom that wants to help all these kids out. Literacy, phonograms are the way to go. I don't believe in sight word memorization. I think that's a new fad that's not working. Learning the sounds and how to read a word properly by learning the sounds is more effective, more efficient, and long-term has way better track records. So,
and I think everybody with common sense agrees that Common Core is horrible.
Yeah. And I think when it comes to our, the sex ed curriculum, I would love to get back to health, like
Yeah.
teaching kids physiology and anatomy and biology without putting all these other extra things in there. Because yes, I think kids should and could learn about health. I think that's important. I learned health. But I think it needs to be focused on, the health side of things, not the gender ideology.
Right. Something that may come up because you just were announced as a candidate at Calvary Chapel, Chino Hills, where my wife and I go to church.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. I have a pretty good friendship with Jack Hibbs too. It was awesome. I was glad to see you up there.
Thank you.
But somebody is sure, because it's happening here, will attack you for being a Christian and make claims that you are trying to churn all of the schools in Orange Unified into Christian schools. Is that your goal?
No, I mean, they're public.
Yeah.
So you can't. But no, I think morals and virtue go a long way. I think teaching kids how to be good citizens and to be kind to people around them. And that's, I guess those are Christian values in a sense, learning morals and virtue. But I don't know anyone, I have friends that are atheists, that are agnostic. I don't know anyone that would not be comfortable with their child learning how to be kind and how to be moral, being honest, having integrity, courageous. Those are things that I think our kids are lacking these days. And so, no, I'm not going to push my values on other people in the sense of, I guess the terms like Bible thumping.
Yeah.
No, I don't do that with people that come over to my house for dinner.
You're right.
But I will be a very big advocate for learning, honesty, integrity, courage, morals, virtues, because I think those are important things that everyone should be learning.
Yeah.
Even adults.
Yeah.
A lot of adults that could use that.
Used to be a huge part of school.
Yeah.
And then there's there's rules against bullying. Somehow bullying has been, if somebody gets bullied for whatever, you name it, be an LGBTQ or a different color, that was handled as a disciplinary issue. They didn't go around changing curriculum because somebody got bullied. Then now suddenly we have to say that everybody who's a certain color is an oppressor. And that's kind of what we've gotten away from. And so good sound rules to support morality and what's right and wrong, and working together as a team.
Absolutely.
All those kinds of things are super important.
Yep.
And what'd you call it? Dan, you had another name for him because you.
Oh, Mr. Alvarez.
Oh, Mr. Alvarez. Yeah. Just campus security,
Sorry,
vulnerability
I'm old school.
assessment, proper access control for all campuses.
Yeah.
Do you see that that's a need in Orange Unified?
Absolutely. Yeah. Our school, they just had a safety police officer, actually. I believe he's Orange County Sheriff's. Came out and assessed our campus and gave all the teachers training on security, if something, God forbid, something happened on our campus, what the teachers should do, could do, would do. And sadly, I think you're right, Mr. Alvarez, that's the state we're in right now. There's some very messed up people in this very broken world. And I think being wise and being trained and being ready for situations is very important, to be prepared and not be caught off guard, to protect our kids.
Yeah. School resource officers has been a topic that I've been bringing up a lot too, that I think with the amount of money that the districts have, even the money that CTA has, if they would just redirect that money from campaign to schools for security, I think that would go a long way in bringing school resource officers into each school. A friend of mine is the chief of police over there at Orange, Dan Adams. I trained him as a canine handler.
Funny.
But he and I were just talking at church, and so we have a dialogue. But I know that he surely cares about what's happening in his community, especially when it comes to children and schools. And so that would be a great conversation to have with him.
Yeah.
I know you have parts of Anaheim too in the Orange Unified.
Anaheim Hills.
Anaheim Hills.
Yeah, Anaheim Hills. So it kind of stops at the 91, 55 in that little circle.
When I was a cop, we didn't call people that lived in Anaheim Hills. We didn't say Anaheim Hills. We said, no, you live in Anaheim.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
because they thought they were above everybody else.
Oh, that's so funny. It's just a hill. It's just a hill. So funny.
But that'd be great.
You think of what kind of going off what you were saying.
Yep.
Look at our airports.
Yep.
Look how protected our airports are.
Yeah.
And then you go to a school and most your schools, you could walk right into that front office.
Yeah.
No problem. The doors are not locked on most.
And you could do it.
Crazy.
You could do it without making it a prison.
Sure.
And I think people sometimes get confused about what it is that maybe you and I are talking about, or Mr. Alvarez are talking about. Is that's not what we're talking about.
No,
good sound security.
Absolutely.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And have an officer there. And my argument for having a resource officer with either one or two schools.
Yeah.
I know it's a lot to have one at every school.
Sure.
But
it's expensive.
What happens is an officer who's assigned to a school gets to know the kids.
Yes.
And the activities and the trends that are happening, and can see what's and feel something that's potentially going to happen, whether it's a gang fight that's going to happen in the quad or around the school, or fentanyl, who's trafficking, narcotics, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
An officer or even a security guy, maybe a retired police officer.
Yeah.
Coming in there would be very valuable, I think.
I agree.
So again, that's another.
I got my hands full. Nothing going on.
Just giving you some ideas.
Yes, no.
And Mr. Alvarez too. I like that, Mr. Alvarez. I'm going to start using that. That's what confused me, because I used to call people, hey, Dan. Dan, LPICT.
My mama taught me last names. You last names.
Good for you. You know what I liked? And you just bring up something. My oldest daughter went to a private school for a little while, and when they entered the classroom, they had to shake the teacher's hand and look them in the eye.
I like
and
that.
say, good morning, Miss Adams, for instance. Good morning, Miss Adams. How are you today? And then she would respond.
Yeah.
And so that was a great thing to bring back. I think
I
that would
like that.
be great to bring back to schools.
Proper handshakes.
Let me bring up your website while you're thinking about some last words that you may want to see. So I want everybody to go to your website. It is in the description. And what I'll do is I'll put it in the comments too. Let me just go ahead and throw that in there. I have it on another page here. Where did I do with it? I put it somewhere. Oh, here it is. I will put it in the comments as soon as I click on it properly. And what I want you to do, I'm demanding you do this, and that is you go there and you give her some money, because the teachers unions are just, they're almost impossible to overcome.
Someone beat you to it.
Oh,
2 people beat you to it.
Oh, that's me.
Oh gosh. Oh, you just posted it 3 times.
Yeah, it goes into all the different platforms.
Oh, that's cool.
But click on that link. Again, it's in the description. If you don't see it where you're at, I don't think it shows up on Twitter for some reason, but in the description, you will see Madison's link there. Go there, find the donation button, and just give whatever you can. Preferably $1,000 would be great. But if you can only give $10, $5, whatever it is, make sure that you give that so that she can finish strong. One of my candidates up there in Simi Valley, she says, walk to win.
Yeah.
And you're walking to win. I know that.
Yeah.
But this will give you more resources to be able to do that. And if you know Madison or know, you don't even have to know her. I think if somebody contacted you and needed help walking to whatever doors they needed to go to, that they could do that by reaching out to you.
Yeah, you can email me. I would love for you to join us. Today we had 6 people were out walking with me, and we covered about a house a minute. So going for 3 hours, that's a good chunk of homes. And I would love, obviously, financial support. If you can't give financially, I totally get it. I would love for you to come join me. Come walk with me. You're welcome anytime. Again, my email is in there on my website, so you can contact me through that. And, there's other options if you're unable to walk. I get that too. So I have created kind of a letter, like a postcard that we're going to be handing out or mailing. So I can give you a pile of those if you want to fill out cards. But yeah, this is me. I am a mom of 4 kids. This is a very grassroots movement. We the other candidates and I that we're kind of running as a slate, we want kids to be first. We want kids to be protected. We want our parents, our families to have full transparency. All their rights should be given to them. And again, back to basics with education, proper literacy, a math that makes sense, a math that, kids can do with their parents. Because heaven forbid your kid comes home with Common Core and you're looking at that like it's a different language. So yeah, we would love to make big changes. We are ready to step in. We are energetic, and yeah, I would love to fill that role, and I would love your help. So,
and if you can, copy the website address for Madison and text it to your friends that live in Orange, every one of them, and tell them this is who you're asking them to support. And that would, at minimum, do that, and then tell them to text 10 of their friends.
Awesome.
Or 20 or 30, whoever lives in Orange.
Yeah.
Do that. Who are the other candidates? What are the names of the other candidates?
So I'm running with Tim Surridge, Angela Williams, and Rick Ledesma, as well as myself, Madison Klovstad Miner. So the four of us are hopeful to be elected in the fall. And
how many total are on your school board?
There's 7 on the school board, but 4 are up for re-election, and one of them is Rick Ledesma, so we're hopeful that he gets reelected. And then the 3 of us would love to beat out those incumbents and get in there and make some changes, make some differences, and be a voice for parents.
Rick would probably be so happy. He's probably been a lone wolf maybe on the school board, or is there another person that supports him?
2 others.
2 others?
Yeah, Angie Rumsey and John Ortega have been in there as well. So
that's good.
Yeah, but it'd be nice to make some changes.
Yeah, it's easier when you have a strong majority.
Yes, for sure. Absolutely.
Real quick, just wanted to show you again, this is a little flyer that we have for Save the Children. I'm sorry, I couldn't find a way to make it bigger. I thought I had another platform, but it's tonight down in Simi Valley, actually Westlake Village. I keep saying Simi Valley. Westlake Village at Novo Cafe, 30770 Russell Ranch, 3077 Russell Ranch. It's an event we are hosting. I'm the president of the California Parent Alliance, and we're being co-hosted with Children's Health Defense, a great organization. Awesome. It's called Save the Children. It's tonight at 7 p.m. So if you know anybody out in that area, Westlake Village, Simi Valley, Ventura, that can get down there, that would be great. We have a great speaker. His name is Mario Presents, and he's with Gays Against Groomers. He spoke at a school board meeting that's gone viral. Awesome. He was also on Tucker Carlson, and obviously he's gay, but he says, no, you don't bring this stuff to schools. The stuff that the teachers unions are bringing to the schools. But he will be speaking. I will be speaking about teachers unions myself, and going into some detail and giving you the laws that you can use to place charges against anybody who's giving your child pornography, which we've seen some of the books and some of the content they're giving out. It is clearly pornography. I was a sex crimes with the Anaheim Police Department. I was a sex crimes detective, and I used this code a number of times for adults giving children pornography, and it's the very same thing that's happening in our schools. It is. And so it's 311.2 of the California Penal Code. So you could look that up and use that and file charges against anybody, librarian, coach, teacher, who's giving your child any images that we have seen in some of the books. Have you seen some of those books that they're in there?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
You have to blur them out on social media. They blur them out, but your kid can look at it.
Right.
In the schools.
If you bring it to a school board meeting, they tell you that you can't bring that's inappropriate.
Yeah. But it's what they're
teaching in a room full of adults.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, that was great. I'm glad that you came by and told us what it is that you are for, and allowed me to have a little bit of a few speeches in there.
Hey,
I appreciate that
very much.
Here for.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your time, Andy.
All right, you're welcome. All right, my friends, make sure and share this out. Again, if you have anybody that lives in the area of Orange Unified School District, whether it's Orange or Anaheim, and what's the other city?
Villa Park.
A
little bit of Santa Ana.
A little bit of Santa Ana.
A little bit of Garden Grove.
Just share it out to anybody that's in that area, because they're going to know somebody that can make a difference in the school board. So make sure that happens. Appreciate you watching, and we'll see you at the next one. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.